Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cassie Villela, and I'm a realtor, property manager, and investor here in San Antonio, Texas. On my channel, we talk about all things real estate, from data and investing to home and garden. So if that's your cup of tea, remember to like, subscribe, follow on other social media, all that jazz. Now, today we're going to jump into the November market update, November 2021 market update for San Antonio. We're going to start out like we have been for the last, year and a half with the COVID rates. I am very happy to report that we are at low COVID levels. It's steady. We have a lot fewer patients on ventilators and 0 new deaths. So that is, of course, something to celebrate. I really hope that this continues and this trend continues going through the holiday season. We're going to start out with single family home showings per week. Now remember that this is that starter home range, so 125 to 225 for this year. We can see a little bit of a dip in the first week of November. That is not something I would worry about. That first week includes October 31st on that Sunday, which was Halloween. And so I think we have a lot fewer showings on a Halloween than we would normally have. So I think that's probably why we have that little bit of a dip, because it does recover the next week. So it's not something I'm very concerned about. Rental showings are, just exactly where they were this time last year. So that's good. Weekly home sales, we are, again, almost exactly where we were this time last year, to the numbers. So that is a good sign. And weekly median price, just like it's been all year, much, much higher than this time last year. I did, notice that in October, it did climb a little bit more. So for most of the weeks in the last month, the median price in San Antonio has been about $315,000, which is bonkers to me, but it is what it is. So that's kind of our new median home price. Like, we were surprised in the summer when it passed 300,000, and it is just, it's not looking back. It's continuing to climb. So on to the median sales price. Now you can see, and if you'll recall, in the last couple of market updates in September and October, we were talking about how the data was indicating that things were slowing down a little bit, not necessarily decreasing, but just compared to the summer rush, things were slowing down a little bit. But you can see here that October just climbed a whole bunch as far as the median sales price. So, that's something to keep in mind. We had a couple of months of steady prices, and then a jump again in October. I don't know if that trend is going to continue in November. I don't have a reason for that other than things are just, the market is still in high demand. People are still buying. People are still looking for homes. It's possible that maybe, I do know that a lot of home buyers kind of decided to take a break in looking because things got so out of hand. And it's possible that when they saw things kind of stabilize for a couple of months, maybe there were some buyers who jumped back into the market. That could explain the sudden increase, but we'll just kind of have to see what November looks like to see if that's something that, if the market is going to jump back into crazy mode. New listings, we can see that over the last couple of months, in September, August, there's been a decline in the number of new listings. And this month, it's kind of evened out. So my hope is that, we're kind of reaching a balanced market. We're reaching something where we're going to have a little bit more predictability. That's my hope. But there definitely, new listings have seemed to balance out, as have the homes for sale. So this is total homes on the market. You can see how over the past several months now, that has been really, really consistent. And so that is a really good thing, in my opinion. Pending sales, you can see, have decreased slightly and then, kind of leveled out in the last month. So again, just all of these signs pointing to, we're just kind of like at a plateau, or we're kind of balancing out, I hope. Again, closed sales did decline in October. But I think that if we look back to the new listings from a couple of slides ago, over the past couple of months, the new listings were dropping. And so in my mind, that would make sense that closed sales would follow because there are fewer homes on the market for people to buy. And so I don't think that this decline over the last couple of months means that the market's necessarily slowing down. I think that as we're kind of reaching some equilibrium, things are evening out. So I fully expect now that new listings have kind of plateaued and even increased a little bit, I expect that next month the closed sales will also kind of plateau. Days on market are still kind of on the rise. I'll say that with a caveat though, that's because in the summer, days on market were less than 20, like we were in the teens, which is just absurd. So yeah, they're climbing, but they're climbing to like 22 days on market, which is still phenomenal by any measure. So that's not something I would use as like oh God, things are slowing down a ton. It's still 22 days on market, which is still fantastic. Price per square foot is also kind of plateauing. So you can see, especially in those mid ranges, like the starter home and the next level up, have really plateaued over the last 3 months. The luxury homes over $325,000 have gone up slightly, but really everything's kind of on a nice plateau in terms of price per square foot, which is a great thing. So the total price per square foot in San Antonio is like climbing up to $160 per square foot, which is definitely very high. As you can see, in January of 2020, it was around $120 per square foot. And so we're definitely seeing a significant increase if you look at it year over year. But over the past few months, things are kind of balancing out. You could also see that in the percent of last list price. We have that bubble in the summertime where, buyers were paying well over list price and pushing that percent of list price over 100%, over 101% of list price. And we saw that a couple of months ago, we came back down to 100. Now, 100% of list price is still fantastic. It's still something that is indicating that this market is still a seller's market, is still very hot. So if you're a buyer, you're still going to have to offer list price or possibly more, if it makes sense, of course. So I don't want you to think that prices are falling. It's just that kind of summer rush and that summer madness that we had is over, and we're kind of getting back to like a more normal market. Normal for the past couple of years. This is still not normal in San Antonio compared to the last 5 years by any stretch of the imagination. I also just want to comment, I don't think I normally talk about this, but the dark blue line, which is 164,000 or less, that's all over the place because that includes, generally speaking, that's going to include houses that have problems, that have like foundation issues or something's wrong with them to be that low priced in this market where the median price is $315,000. And so investors are, those are investor specials. So that's going to be all over the place. I think that the lines to really pay attention to are the like that aqua blue line and the orange line. Those are, kind of more where our kind of normal houses are. And that's going to give you a better idea of like the health of the market and what the market is doing. Month supply, we had that, we had it creeping up a little bit over the past few months, and we see that it's kind of stable. Now we have, again, I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but every graph we have several months now where it's been consistent. And so just again, that's just the market kind of coming to some kind of new equilibrium for San Antonio. So I don't think that the market's going up or down. I think it's kind of just staying stable, at least for the immediate future. Now I've included some charts from Independence Title. Again, I will plug Independence Title's website. They have a ton of information, so definitely go to their tools and resources part of their website. I'm just including a few graphs, but they have a lot more data. They even have data about like neighborhoods and all kinds of of things that you could look into if you're new to San Antonio or buying from out of state. It would be a really helpful website. But I like to include it because, in the other charts I use, we're only looking at 1 year of data because I'm looking for slight fluctuations so that we can tell okay, as a buyer, how do I need to act? As a seller, how do I need to price homes? And I think you need to see those little month-to-month fluctuations. But we can look at these charts from Independence Title that have 5 years of data to kind of just see how the market is historically in San Antonio. You can see that in 2021, we're following pretty much the same trajectory as 2020. It's interesting to me that 2017 through 2019, all 3 of those years had a pretty significant dip from August to September and then to October. But 2020 and 2021 did not have that dip. Only slightly, but definitely not as pronounced as the other lines. And so I think what that tells me is that, those last 3 years, even though we thought that those were really hot markets in those last 3 years, but those were kind of a more normal market cycle, whereas 2020 and 2021 have just been unprecedented. And so I think that 2021 is following sort of the same trajectory as 2020. And we can expect that, in a normal year, we would have a pretty pronounced dip in November and December. And then that would start to slowly climb over the January, February, March. But I think that this year we're going to have a less pronounced dip if we continue to follow kind of the same trends that 2020 held. Again, nobody can predict the future, so I'm just speculating. Don't take my word for it. Median sales price, you can see, just like we talked about before, it's kind of plateauing. It's staying pretty consistent. It will be interesting to see in October if that goes up a little bit, because we did see in the other data that October numbers did increase pretty significantly. We don't have that yet because I think that Independence Title pulls this data from the San Antonio Board of Realtors. They do a monthly market statistics release, and that has not been released yet. I think that we have to wait on that, but you can see that in the past 3 months, we've had pretty consistent prices in 2021. If we compare it to last year, 2020, there was a pretty solid trajectory through the rest of the year. Pretty solid prices. Prices held pretty much through winter before climbing in the spring. So I think that we can probably expect something similar to happen this year. Average sales price, pretty much exactly the same story. Sales volume. Now I want to mention that this is the total dollars bought and sold in the market. So you could see 1.6 billion, right? So 2020 and 2021, the difference in those lines, that could represent the same exact number of homes sold, but because the median price has risen so dramatically, the 2021, the red line is going to, of course, be a lot higher. So I think that the sales volume indicates not necessarily that more homes are being sold, but that they're being sold at a higher price. Months of inventory, again, we're so much lower than we have been over the past few years. I always mention this, but 6 months is considered a balanced market, not a seller's or a buyer's market. So we're still under 2 months. So I'm sorry, buyers, it is still a seller's market. It looks like it's going to continue to be a seller's market for a while. That doesn't seem to be going anywhere. But it does, at least it's a little better than it was in the summer of this year. That is all the hope I can offer, is that it's a little bit more reasonable, the 100% of list price, this kind of stabilization of price per square foot and number of homes on the market, etc. I like that all of those are starting to kind of stabilize, and I hope that means that we are going to head into a more predictable market cycle. Just personally, because I really want people to be able to find a home and settle down and live in San Antonio. I want San Antonians to be able to buy homes in San Antonio too. So, I'm hoping that that is going to kind of continue to be balanced and settle down a little bit. But that is just my hope for the future. I absolutely have no control over that, and nobody can predict the future, like I said before. That's all the data that I have today. if you have any questions or you have any insights into the market that I didn't include, absolutely please mention those in the comments. If you have any other suggestions, definitely comment below. I'd love to read those. And like I said at the beginning, again, I know it's annoying. Please like, subscribe. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, everything. So I hope to see you in the next one.